Hey everybody, it's Yordleman the Waifu Collector here, still the only fair human on Earth, and if you pay any attention to gaming, then you probably know that everybody loves Arc Raiders right now. It's having quite a moment, and you probably are aware that it's an extraction shooter, but not just any extraction shooter, as the public will let you know. Because Arc Raiders is getting called best in class and is being said to have elevated the genre, all kinds of stuff, and maybe that's true. I mean, they don't have a ton of notable competition. It's pretty much just Tarkov and I don't know what, DMZ and Call of Duty or whatever they're calling it these days. So yeah, not a lot of high profile competition to be best in class in, but best in class is still best in class. However, soon there will be a new challenger entering the fray. In case you don't remember, Bungie has a new game coming out after all this time of only doing Destiny 2, and they've decided to make an extraction shooter themselves called Marathon. And this game was fully revealed with gameplay and everything earlier this year, and like all new games, it hopes to wow everybody and be popular and successful. And Marathon was originally supposed to release in September of 2025 earlier this year, but clearly that never happened. The game got pushed back to 2026, and in the time since then, we got Arc Raiders by Embark Studios. And I doubt that Bungie planned for Arc Raiders and its huge success. And so here's the thing. On paper, another game doing exactly what I planned to do before I could do it is just them completely taking my spot and lessening my chances. In this case, that's Arc Raiders doing an extraction shooter before Marathon. On paper, it's just standard competition and everything just got harder for Marathon. And yeah, to some degree they are going to face a little extra scrutiny. People will play and compare. They're gonna say Arc Raiders did this thing better, or this part isn't as good as Arc Raiders, or whatever. That's gonna happen, and I won't lie, there is a chance that scrutiny gets so big that it basically kills Marathon. But what's more likely when you look at the bigger picture is that the success of Arc Raiders actually helps Marathon. We've established there aren't a lot of hugely notable games in the extraction shooter genre yet. You know, like a true money-hungry boom has not yet happened. Remember when you couldn't look at a gaming storefront without there being some new battle royale after Fortnite or after Gears of War, when everybody was suddenly making gritty third-person shooters, or more recently, how we couldn't turn our heads without coming face to face with a new Souls-like. And a lot of the time, they have budgets, gimmicks, and actual ambitions, despite whether or not those ambitions pan out. That kind of boom hasn't happened for extraction shooters, if it ever will. But now with Arc Raiders really exploding in a way that no other extraction shooter has, not even Tarkov, maybe the boom will begin. And of course Marathon wouldn't be the result of that because clearly they've been in development. They were even supposed to release before Arc Raiders. But still, Marathon, while not the result of the boom, could be the beneficiary of it. Being the first one in after someone initiates a boom is invaluable. It has the potential to let a game or series live forever. Look at Apex Legends or Neo. So eventually people will become less enamored with Arc Raiders and be hungry for something similar but new and different. And if Bungie is lucky, that thing can be Marathon. Seriously, I think the next time Marathon gets publicly shown off in a big way, it's gonna be received better because of the excitement for the genre that Arc Raiders has generated. I think this is a rising tides lifts all boats sort of deal rather than the direct competition it could be. Because you've got to remember, Bungie and Marathon don't have a lot to lose in terms of public perception for this game. There's really only up. And that's because shortly after they revealed gameplay for the game, they had a closed alpha playtest that got tepid responses at best. Along with that, they also announced that Marathon would be a premium title with a price to be announced at a later date. And that made pretty much everyone upset because Marathon didn't look too dissimilar to or more content rich than other games that were free to play. So everyone was kind of pissed to learn that they'd have to pay for it. Then, shortly after that, Bungie or some someone working on Marathon stole art from a digital artist called Anti-Real and repurposed the work for Marathon, generating yet another bad look for the game. So people were excited about Marathon for about 2 seconds, and then it just became a non-stop train of bad looks. And yeah, like I said, one of these bad looks was that the public didn't like that they'd have to pay for this, likely $40. But hey, you know what else is $40? My mom! No, no, Arc Raiders is. And the fact that people have paid their $40 for a game in the same genre and enjoyed it so much, I think that'll make it so that all of a sudden when we see Marathon's price, people are now just out of nowhere okay with it. I think that Arc Raiders will have taken the sting out of the Marathon price tag. And what's funny about that is I actually think people got it right the first time. I've played nearly 50 hours of Arc Raiders and it's a good game, but I am not sure what my $40 was for. Like, there is not more content than is typical in a free-to-play shooter. And if I were just paying for polish, then why wasn't Apex Legends $50 or $60 back in 2019, you know? So I think we were right to flinch at the premium price tag on Marathon, but I do think that people will do a turnaround on that part of their outrage because they're pleased with Arc Raiders. But whatever. Also, Arc Raiders is on Game Pass, so there's a decent amount of people playing for free. Now, obviously, with Bungie being owned by Sony, Marathon won't be on Game Pass, but it might be smart of Sony if they put it on PlayStation Plus Extra or whatever. So then you can get your $40 from the PC and Xbox players, and you get a nice player base from your subscribed PlayStation players. And if the price complaints somehow persist, being free on PlayStation Plus would mitigate some of that. But whatever, either way, I think people will come around on the price thanks to Arc Raiders. And I know, like I said earlier, there is still a chance that the players aggressively treat these two games like competitors, and in that case, Arc Raiders could end up killing Marathon. But I find it way more likely that we're at the beginning of a boom and players will be thirsty for another game like this, enough so that they'll approach Marathon with a positive attitude, and all it'll have to do is not suck. It also helps that Bungie does have pedigree, you know, a pretty good reputation. Even if that reputation has taken some hits, it's still pretty good. So they've got a good amount of people who are just excited to see what they have next. But I think Arc Raiders will kind of be their savior, oddly enough, and give them the casual fan eyes they'll need, simply based on being the same genre. So yeah, that's all I think. I was just thinking about Marathon while I was playing Arc Raiders, and here we are. Be sure to tell me what you think of any of this down in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, please remember to give it a like and consider subscribing. Thanks in advance. Outro, outro, outro. Goodbye.